The Ferndale Cat Shelter and Catfé Lounge is a beloved community gem dedicated to improving the lives of cats and helping them find loving homes. This unique no-kill animal shelter, located in the heart of Ferndale, Michigan, combines animal rescue with a cozy cafe experience. At the Catfé Lounge, visitors can relax with a cup of coffee or tea while spending time with adoptable cats in a warm, welcoming environment. This innovative space provides a safe haven for homeless cats and fosters connections between people and animals. It also raises awareness about the importance of adoption and animal welfare. In addition to offering adoption services, the Ferndale Cat Shelter and Catfé Lounge hosts educational programs, organizes events, and creates opportunities for the community to come together. It's more than just a shelter. It's a hub for learning, connection, and compassion. Welcome to Celebrate Michigan, the show produced on the campus of Medina University. I'm Chris Benson. And today we have Patrick Andras, board president of the Ferndale Cat Shelter and Catfé Lounge. Patrick, thanks for being here today.
Thank you for having me.
Wonderful. So how did you get connected to the Ferndale Cat Shelter and the Lounge?
So, how I got connected, going on 8 years ago, my wife and I adopted. We had a vacancy of a cat at our house, so we adopted a cat, Biscuit, and it was just a good community there, and we really liked the folks. And maybe a week or two later, my wife called me and said, "Well, how about we foster some kittens for the shelter?" And I said, "Well, we have got some travel going on. You know, there's a lot of events coming up. I just don't think it's going to be, it's going to work. We can talk about it after." Well, I got a call later that day, and I said yes to a mother cat and 5 tiny kittens to come stay at her house. And I'm like,
and that's how it all started.
That's how it all started, yeah. So the kittens got really sick. It was a terrible experience, actually. I don't even know if I've seen another foster have an experience like this. But the shelter just all came and helped to support us. And like I said, were traveling, and they came in and helped take care of our kittens while we were gone. They needed medication, they needed a syringe, they needed IV fluid. So, and that really what got us started to become more involved and participate more on a bigger scale.
So prior to adopting, did you know how prevalent the need for adopting cats was? Before Biscuit, did you have any clue?
Yeah, it's, volunteering and community participation was kind of raised in me by my parents. I remember the first dog that we got was something, my dad left for work and then came back 20 minutes later with a dog he found on the street. My sister had a cat in our neighborhood on the east side of Detroit that she was letting in through the window. My grandma fed at her home on the east side of Detroit, fed all of the cats that lived in the feral cats in the neighborhood. So it was one of those things where it was just bred into me.
It sounds like this is your destiny. It sounds.
Yeah, it's funny how that
can't avoid your fate, Patrick.
Right,
you can't avoid your fate.
Right.
So that was 8 years ago. Tell us what the shelter and the cafe are like now.
Sure. Yeah. So the shelter is about 10 years old now. We just celebrated our 10-year anniversary in September.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Yeah. And so we started off in a small space on Livernois and Ferndale, about 1,000 square feet, with a little Catfé Lounge. And, we're just doing maybe a dozen or 2 adoptions. And then the adoptions, as the community got more involved, the adoption amount increased, the volunteers increased. And we ended up leasing the space next to us, which was another 1,000 square feet. And we were already starting to have some small events and utilizing the space really as a fundraiser to help cats, right? Yeah. So fast forward to 2020, which we all knew would happen then. We didn't realize what was going to happen. We went from adopting out maybe 400 to 500 cats to 1,000 cats, or close to 1,000 cats in 2020.
Oh my gosh.
And then again, 960, close to 1,000 in 2021.
Wow.
So that really, not only did it bring a lot more folks, which is common knowledge, to adopt pets during that time, but it also had people like, hey, I've got some spare time. I can help, right? Yeah. And that brought in a lot more volunteers, fosters to help out at the shelter.
Wow. So it's kind of unique because you've got the shelter and the lounge. Is that typically how these resources work, or is this sort of a, I mean, I'm not aware of any others in the area.
So it is, so, well, some of them are similar to our setup,
Okay,
right?
okay.
I mean, we're primarily an animal rescue. We do
Yeah.
have a Catfé Lounge, and we did, fast forward to 2 years ago, the shelter purchased a 6,800 square foot building just down the road, right? Which we have a 2,200 square foot Catfé Lounge, and then, a medical room to help treat some of the cats. It's really our biggest expenses, our medical expenses. So to get back to your question, most rescues are not like that. We're very unique, and we've got about 35 to 45 cats, let's say, in our Catfé space. But the shelter itself really takes care of between 250 to 300 cats and kittens that are in people's homes. Like, so commonly, my wife and I will have 2 foster kittens. We know that's our limit. It gets, keeps our permanent cats happy to having 2. So times that by dozens and dozens throughout Southeast Oakland County and really the Metro Detroit area, and that's how many cats we have. And that part is unique. It's not terribly unique, but to have the Catfé Lounge is definitely a unique situation for most rescues.
And you mentioned it's a no-kill shelter. Tell me why that's important.
So it's important because, these animals deserve a chance at life. And when they want to live, some cats don't want to live in somebody's home. That doesn't mean their life should be ended, right? So there's ways, we have programs where it's TNR, and we have folks that go on the community that trap, neuter, and release cats, and they clip their ear, and we get a very reasonable cost on spay and neutering. But the kitties that want to come in, we do our best to save as many as we possibly can and place them in the homes. Again, that's as resources allow us to, and that's resources being people and money, and we are completely packed right now with cats and at the limit of vet bills too, so that's why it's important. They deserve a chance at life.
Well, and it sounds like if you had infinite wish, that you'd be able to provide for all of them, and that's just there's limitations, right?
Right, of course.
Right.
Yep.
Oh.
Yeah.
Well, we're just scratching the surface, no pun intended, with the Cat Cafe and the shelter. So stay tuned. We'll be right back, and you'll hear more about the Ferndale Cat Shelter with Patrick Andras. We'll see you in just a minute.
I want to eat apples and bananas. I need to eat apples and bananas. Why can't I eat apples and bananas?
Support the Feeding America nationwide network of food banks to help provide meals to those in need. Join us at feedingamerica.org.
Can I have $1? Yeah, it's right. I think my purse is upstairs on the bed. It's not here. Check the dining room. No. What about your sister's room? It's not there either. The upstairs closet? The downstairs closet?
There are no more closets.
Moms everywhere are finding ways to keep kids active and healthy. Get ideas, get involved, get going at letsmove.gov.
When life's this hard, it's no wonder 7,000 students drop out every school day. Visit boostup.org and help kids in your community stay in school.
Open road, here comes the Heffley family.
Whether it's a short trip or a long haul,
Estimated time, 47 hours.
they will beg.
You're hungry? I'm happy to provide.
They will plead.
Deep fried butter on a stick.
But whatever you do, Don't wimp out.
Now you're talking.
Make them buckle up.
He can't hurt.
Remember, safety first. Cheese curls second.
Are you orange?
Welcome back to Celebrate Michigan. I'm Chris Benson. Joining me today is Patrick Andras, representing Ferndale Cat Shelter and the Catfé Lounge. Patrick, talk to me about what your organization provides to both animals and then people as well.
Sure, yeah. So it provides obviously shelter for cats, right? We have, there's a lot of other activities, as I mentioned earlier. There's a big community of cats that are outside. They just don't want to live indoors, right? So we have shelter builds, which we just had one this past Sunday, where folks can come in and build an outdoor cat shelter. And I've got some photos too, I'm sure we'll see later.
Awesome.
And so people can do that to help save cats, outdoor cats. And then indoor cats, it provides space inside, obviously the shelter itself, but also in people's homes too. So.
And socialization I manage for the animals. Animals need that, just as much as people do. What has what has your organization meant to the people that come and spend time there?
Sure, yeah. So it's not even just the people that come in for therapy, right? I always say it's cat therapy. But when I walk into the shelter and the folks that volunteer there regularly, right? If you're volunteering at the shelter, it's like a job, right? You're not getting paid per se, but we need, as being open as a retail space, you need to come in during certain times. So when I come in there, it just feels like, you can really feel the love and the acceptance of everybody that walks in the door. And it allows a safe space for folks of all different backgrounds to volunteer and participate. And we have folks, on the spectrum, neurodivergent, that can participate also at the shelter, that are regular volunteers. But really, it's a sense of community, and maybe some folks that they don't get a chance to always socialize with other people, but it allows them to come and volunteer, play with cats, help cats, and also meet other cat lovers. There's a big social aspect to it as well.
That's wonderful. And you mentioned pictures. Let's take a look at some pictures just to give our audience an idea of what they could expect when they're there. Oh, what are we looking at here?
So that is we have trivia night. So you have to keep look out for social media on Instagram and Facebook, as well as our website. So we'll have trivia. We have some folks that were fortunate enough to volunteer and put together a trivia night. And there's a charge to come in, which is, again, goes to help save cats. And that's one of the many activities we have at the shelter.
Because you guys are a 501c3, correct?
We are a nonprofit. We are not affiliated with the city of Ferndale. We have to raise everything.
Good to know.
So,
look at this cutie.
That's actually my cat Biscuit, the one I told you about. So that's why I wanted to include him. And that was, you notice he has a harness on him. We had photos with Santa. That was at our old shelter.
Oh my gosh.
So he got his photo taken with Santa, and I thought it was just a cool photo. The line's kind of through his face, but you get the kind of gist of it, of he's kind of a mascot for the shelter.
I feel like he's judging me. I must tell you, Patrick.
And then those are those are the outdoor cat shelters I was talking about. And you could see folks come in. Some of them are decorated. That one you can see has a Friends Hardware, which is in Royal Oak, a local hardware store. They help to donate. You can see some of the tape, and then inside there's insulation. And Friends Hardware is fortunate enough. We're fortunate to have them to donate the product.
And are those coolers that they're made out of, or what are those?
They are, yeah.
Cool.
So those coolers will come for people. Actually, that's one of the most challenging things for us to source of those coolers. They come from hospitals. Medicine are transported in them. I think I had somebody drop them off. They said they were on Nutrisystems, was in that large foam box.
Wow.
So it's a really good way to repurpose that foam box instead of just throwing it in the garbage. And then obviously when it's done, it can be recycled.
Oh, how neat. I'd seen those before where, again, and you're putting something in there, maybe, I don't know what kind of, is it straw or something you put in there to help the cat kind of have some warmth?
Yep, there's straw inside, and then it's lined with an insulation too.
Wow.
Yep.
Just again, like you said, some cats want to be unhoused. They just want to be out in the community, and the inside is not their thing. And so this gives them some safety.
That's okay. Yep.
Oh, wonderful. I saw on your website that you also have, you have so many different events. There was like cat yoga. What are some other activities that you've done in the cafe?
Sure, yeah. So we have, cat yoga, which we have a couple of times a month, maybe 3 or 4 times a month. We have cat bingo a couple of times a month.
Okay.
We've had a euchre event. Tonight we're actually going to have a game night there. It was the first time with our volunteers. It's kind of like a way, we help to support our volunteers too and then give them activities, to help just show their appreciation. So, but yeah, there's a wide variety of different events we've had at the shelter, and we're open to other suggestions. And when I say open to other suggestions, my rule is, if you suggest something to me, that means you're going to lead it and you're going to roll with it for us. So.
Exactly. So let's say I come tonight to cat yoga. What can I expect when I'm there?
You could expect to be led by a professional yoga instructor. Okay. I don't personally do yoga, but you could be in certain yoga poses and a cat might jump on your back. They might be brushing up against your face. So it gives that a little bit of different uniqueness to it. So
I know there is a cat-cow pose, so it might be interesting to be at the cat cafe doing cat yoga and do the cat-cow pose. So that might be interesting.
That might be a thing, yeah.
And what if I see a cat and I fall in love? So I'm at cat yoga and I say, oh my gosh, this cat, I would love to adopt this cat. What's the process to do that?
So the process is you'll go to our website through your phone, ferndalecatshelter.org, and it gets routed out to one of our volunteers that is working on adoptions, and they'll reach out to you. You tell them about the cat. More often than not, the adoption coordinator will know the cat and all about it, and they'll know if it's a good fit for you or not. And there's a series of references because we background check everybody. You can't just walk in and take a cat home, unless, of course, you're a previous adopter. Sometimes we allow that. If we know you, but if it's somebody that's just fresh visiting for the first time, there is a vetting process to that.
Well, and I would want that because you want to make sure, again, that the animals are going to be in a safe environment. So I'm glad to hear that. Okay, well, maybe I need to go to cat yoga tonight. We'll see. So we've got one more quick break. When we come back, we'll speak again with Patrick Andras of Ferndale Cat Shelter and Catfé Lounge. Stay tuned.
So there you are, shuffling through a stack of resumes and you come to mine. This is it, first impression, my way in. But can my resume show you how I truly stand out? Like that I was studying, going to night school while working 2 jobs just to help my parents pay for groceries. Or being the first one to always step up. No, that's something you just can't put on paper. Look beyond the resume and discover new ways to develop great talent that is dedicated, hardworking, and determined like me.
To you, Algebra 2, Foreign Languages, and finally, Biology. Who among you will step up to their challenge?
Me. Yeah, I'll do it. Me too.
Sign me up.
Take on the tough classes now. You need them to prepare for college.
Do you like this top? It's so gay.
Really?
Yeah, it's totally gay.
You really shouldn't say that.
Say what?
Well, say that something's gay when you mean it's bad. It's insulting. What if every time something was bad, everybody said, oh, that's so girl wearing a skirt as a top?
Oh, you are.
Those are cute jeans, though. When you say that's so gay, do you realize what you say? Knock it off.
Welcome back to Celebrate Michigan. I'm Chris Benson, and today I'm enjoying a conversation with Patrick Andras of the Ferndale Cat Shelter and Catfé Lounge. In the previous segments, we've talked all about, the different services that are provided and the experience people can have. If there's people watching right now and they want to get involved, how can they support you? What do you need most, and how can I support you, from someone who wants to come in to someone sadly like me who is allergic and can't really come in? How can I help the Ferndale Cat Shelter?
Sure, yeah. So the easiest way is to go to our website, ferndalecatshelter.org, and you can fill out a volunteer application to come and volunteer for the organization, which I think is the most fun. And it's not because I do it all the time, but really it's like you're behind the scenes, right? You're helping run the show. Another way is to check our social through Instagram, Facebook. We're on TikTok a little bit, and take a look and see what events we have going on. Or just take a look and book a time to come out and visit our Catfe, and spend an hour with the kitties, play with the kitties, help socialize the kitties, grab a cup of coffee, tea, and just hang out at the shelter.
Awesome. What do you hope for the future of the organization? Like, if you could wave a magic wand and things, say, I would love to create this, or I would love for this to be possible for us, what would that be?
Really, we have a large space, which, as I mentioned earlier, it's not filled with cats. It's filled with spaces for events. It's filled with supplies. So I think to have more regular events at the shelter, we're building out a small kitchen area where we're going to be able to have host food pop-ups, more parties, more events, and really just to raise awareness of the shelter and to contribute to the community and save more cats ultimately.
And what do you think your organization means to the community? And what kind of relationship do you guys have with the community? What do people get from you being there?
Yeah, so that's a good question. Obviously there's a lot of cat lovers in Ferndale, and a lot of folks, most of them adopt. So it's a place for them to relax. It's a place to participate, as I mentioned. There's a lot of, we could use artists, anybody can participate at the shelter. We do need folks to scoop litter boxes, of course, but we also need, as I mentioned, folks that put together trivia, folks that can play in a band, right? We can have an event outside. So really anybody in the community can participate, and I think it makes everybody feel like they're a part of something. Mm-hmm.
And I'm going to bring it up because I know it probably would help. Donations. It's so expensive. The cost. We were just talking during the break about how the cost of caring for pets and animals has just increased. And again, you're doing this service where you're trying to save cats so that they will continue to have fantastic lives and can enrich the lives of others. I imagine donations would be very helpful to your organization too.
Absolutely. Yep. FerndaleCatShelter.org. You can donate directly to the shelter. Again, I'm a volunteer. We have 3 employees that are work way more than they should for what they get paid. So we're a volunteer-based organization. Volunteer at FerndaleCatShelter.org, Facebook, Instagram. Definitely donations. Participate. Come out to do cat yoga, as you mentioned. Do cat trivia. That helps. Those are all volunteer-led and driven. That's all that money goes right to help cats.
And, I know you spend a lot of time there and multiple years being involved. Are there any stories of a particular cat or someone who's really been affected by their experience and time there that come to your mind?
I have to go back to my cat Biscuit that we saw. Unfortunately, we lost him 4 years ago. He was sick. Yeah. But he was such a great foster brother. That wasn't our last time fostering. We fostered probably over 100 cats in our home since then.
Wow.
But we have countless photos of Biscuit, laying down, snuggling kittens, letting a kitten lay on his side. So we do have a kitten room at the shelter because kittens need to be separated. And there's a watercolor of Biscuit at the door because he just loved kittens so much. And he also always answered the door at our house. Didn't matter who was coming over, he's answering the door. So that's why we put him appropriately. So I think that cat, for me, really, that's that cat and myself was one of the most influential things with my involvement at the shelter.
And I imagine that I didn't realize you had a kitten room. I can't imagine that you go into the kitten room in a bad mood and come out in a bad mood.
The kittens make people happy.
The sound of that must be awesome. And again, when you think of the future, what is your great hope? What is your great hope for this organization?
Really, just to come up with a reoccurring revenue source for the shelter, which we have. But as we mentioned, there's so many cats that are in need, right? And people and animals in general. So to have a way where we can just continually raise money on a consistent basis to save more cats, that's what we need to continue to grow.
And what would you say to anyone out there who is thinking like, gosh, I want to do something in my community, and maybe it might be cats, might be another cause, and they're just not sure where to get started. Like how would you recommend for them to follow their passion, as it sounds like you did? So come to the shelter. Meet some folks there, that's a good way to kind of see how our organizations run. And we have folks that volunteer for a lot of different organizations. It's really community driven. Or just go to your local, anywhere, right? Whatever your passion is, you're interested in, go to their website, show up, participate. I volunteer not just here, but at a wide variety of different organizations. So. And it sounds like it's been something that you're glad you invested your time in, and it's made a big difference in your life and life of your family too.
Yeah. Yep.
Awesome. Well, Patrick, thank you so much for spending time with us today. We hope that you have lots of new visitors at the shelter and cafe and people that support it as well.
Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you. And thank you for tuning in to Celebrate Michigan, where we talk about all these wonderful organizations and people that make this such a great place to live. We'll see you next time.